Collective, welcome to the channel. So we've got some clones out there. What did they say? What did they say here? They said, we who's you keeps getting tampered with. So there are some clones out there who think they're you just because somebody stole genetics and then grew still in stagnant waters a flesh suit for whatever entity this is to inhabit. They believe that they are the collective because they are wearing a skin suit that looks the same. However, for some reason, they can't grasp the truth that the entity within the temple is absolutely not the same. So anyhow, they're getting tampered with only because the evil deeds that they do, the original will no longer pay the price for that sin. They are responsible for their own evil deeds. The Most High God and Family Divine know very well who is who. So, copycat, clone, the originals aren't obligated to transmute the sin of your evil deeds anymore. We're not obligated to wear the blame and the shame of your crime anymore. Those days are over. That being said, it is August 20th, 2025, and we're going to tap right in and get a storyline for the collective. Excuse me. You won't be covering the original in the blame and the shame of your own filthiness anymore. Those days are over. In the central energy, we have the Moon card. So somebody might be in fear. They've done something in the dark, which is where they like to be, and it's coming back on them. They're responsible for it. In the challenge position, we've got the Hierophant. The Most High God is here. He knows very well who is who. Decades, lifetimes have been evaluated here. In the subconscious, Seven of Wands. Somebody's afraid because they've been committing fraud. They've been doing tricky shit, going out there wearing the face, but on the inside is a demon, a demoness, a freaking Jezebel, succubus, or whatever the heck. It certainly isn't a holy, divinely connected soul. It's a fraud. And they're in fear now because the Most High God sees very clearly that who they are, and the original will not process or carry the burden of that sin any longer. In the recent past, we've got the Three of Wands. Moving forward, preparations are being made. Intention and expectation. We've got your freedom here. Man. In the near future, Chariot. You're out of here. The lens is being looked through. Lovers. The strength of two together. This is another thing, copycat. These connections already been made. It's very, very clear that you aren't the original. There won't be any trickery. And those book suggestions that you put on my page twice now, trying to muddy the waters, these connections also know that I've never participated in that. It's very, very clear your illusions are failing. In the environment, we've got the Ace of Pentacles, and it came out in the reverse. Somebody did not plan well. They lost their opportunity, missed their chance. Hopes and fears, Five of Pentacles. Yeah. And in the outgoing energy, Ten of Cups. Divine love and union is here. And copycat, whole bag, you know, born of still and stagnant waters from stolen genetics, by the way. I reclaim the freaking flesh suit you're wearing. It belongs to me. On the bottom of the deck, we have Ace of Wands here. There's a whole lot of opportunity for growth here. And somebody is in sorrow. They're in sorrow. They're walking away. Or you are walking away. You're giving your charity. You're giving your charity to those according to the history, right? So if somebody was committing fraud on you in the history, they're probably not going to get charity. So the charity, the generosity, and all of that is according to the history. The divine stated that the need for vengeance is in the history. You're working with high standards here. You're working real hard, and there's death here, man. Painful endings and death. It's over for the copycat. It was seen very clearly. They tried to send something in for me last night. It briefly touched my solar plexus, and then we found out the verdict, which is you are responsible for your stuff. The divine knows that you are not the original. I'm so happy. You have no idea how happy I am to be seen. After that last chapter, it was brutal, man. We're not going to do that again. I'm so grateful. So somebody's in fear here. They're having anxiety over this illusion. They were trying to cast an illusion. They're trying to commit fraud, but God is stepping right up and saying, hey, what you got going on there? We've got the Two of Wands here. There's some decisions that are being made. Living home, travel plans. They got to get out of Dodge. They're no longer welcome on the foundation of the original. You can't have, what? 1, 2, 3, 8 copycats, 8 clones out there doing evil shit, trying to project it onto the original. No. God sees your illusions, he sees your practices, and so does Divine Mother. So the Hierophant is here, and we've got the love of Divine Masculine. He's right there with the love of Divine Masculine, not these trickster, fraudster, hobags, but the actual Divine Masculine. Whoever is experiencing some anxiety right now, they were committing fraud on a high priestess. They were committing fraud, trying to get away with something tricky on a high priestess. Somebody who's very strong-willed and minded. Somebody who doesn't get into the fear mode, the anger mode, the vengeance mode, none of that. She knows God takes care of it for her. And the Divine Masculine who is here, clearing out the foundation, making room for love. Yeah, so there is a moving forward here with the Three of Wands into the Ten of Cups. It's an enterprise. There's a new way of being, and these interdimensional handlers of the curator and their clones and all of that, they're like, well, with this type of a relationship, we've already experienced that back in the 50s, the 30s, 40s, whatever, when grandma was home and she had 12, 14 kids and she never got to leave the kitchen because, you know, she was always pregnant and always having to feed somebody. And the husband didn't really support her in any way. And then later in the 50s and 60s, he was a hoe bag and he was vicious with the mother, who was a stay-at-home mom. So it wasn't respected and it was brutalizing. And these ones know that in that type of a relationship, you can do whatever you want. There's like domestic violence of all kinds, and that's what they get off on. So these will be monitored. There are moles and sly little rats who snuck in, because I've heard them talking to these interdimensional people about what they've seen and what is going on and all these special little projects and what are we going to do about it. They're making plans. I can hear them. They're doing it. You've got your excitement. You're free here. So you're a free spirit. You got limitless potential. And then you've got the 8 of Pentacles in the reversed. It could be some kind of self-development. You're free because you have developed yourself. We'll get more clarification. In the near future, we've got the Chariot. So there's a victory and you're going on a journey. Somebody's going on a journey with the Sun. Rebirth. Victory for the Sun. Victory for the Sun. We've got the Lovers here. The strength of 2 together. A deep, passionate love with the Emperor. Yeah, so the strength of 2 together, these relationships, there's structure, there's rules, there's discipline. Serious business, thinking about future generations. This isn't an F-fest, it's not a party zone, this is serious business. Creation is not frivolous. Somebody lost their opportunity here with the Ace of Pentacles in the reverse, and we've got expansion. So this is worldwide. This is an enterprise. This is all over the place, okay? So you've got the 3 of Wands, or the Ace of Pentacles here. Somebody missed their opportunity for a 3 of Wands. They've missed their opportunity for an expansion. They've missed their opportunity for an expansion. This could be that there has been a bad investment made worldwide, overseas. So here in the recent past, we've got the expansion overseas. It's all over the place. We're coming into a new way of handling relationships. Somebody made a bad investment, and that's also overseas. So it's out there. So we're making a transition from passion project into divine love. They're afraid because they're in a 5 of Pentacles. They've lost everything. They made a bad investment. They've lost their opportunity for this abundance. Empress. They're in fear. They're in lack mindset because of this Empress. They're feeling insecure because of the abundance of this divine feminine coming into her 10 of Cups union. Looks like she's here with the Emperor. 10 of Cups union, 10 of Cups union. These divine masculines are like, whoop, they're stepping up and reclaiming their reputation, which has been so severely soured by this passion project. So it's a dream come true. There is contentment and there's failure here. So you've got a 10 of blissful relationships. Somebody has failed. They're very disappointed because this is coming together. The King of Pentacles is what? He's got the foundation here. He's very frugal on the foundation. He's got all those pentacles. He's spending 4 of them on the foundation, which means he's got 6 left to put up those boundaries. So they're leaving behind some garbage, some trashy little stuff here. You got excitement and freedom again with the Page of Wands. Strong, very strong, very, very courageous. And again, we've got generosity according to the history, according to your works. Whatever this evil thing is that these copycats out there are doing, the original human is not responsible for that debt. The lovers are coming together. New love will need to be balanced. You're going to have to be balanced. Like, in order to come together in this new love, it's going to have to be seen for what it is. You know, are you willing to, yeah, you're going to be looking. Hard work, routine, dedication, devotion, loyalty, purpose, discipline. Somebody's in a freaking tower over this, and they're in a Five of Pentacles energy, because the life of luxury goes to the earth angels and their foundation, their territory, their community. That's where it goes. And this is the end of that cycle of fraud and trickery. All those copycats out there, they said, what did they say again? They speak like they're not human. They speak differently. I don't know what entity is inside the flesh suit of stolen genetics, but they say, we who's you. We who's you. We who is you are keep getting tampered with. So you got some dark entities out there, vampiric entities. They were given a cloned flesh suit, and they were given the opportunity to do evil deeds and try to pile that blame onto the original so that they could trap the original and siphon off of them for eternity. Well, their plan got busted. They're seen very clearly for what they are, and all of the effort that they are doing to this high priest. Look, you got high priestess, Hierophant. You've got the emperor and the empress. These are high value, original people. Their mythology, these clones and their little handlers and all of that, they thought that they were extinct. They thought that they had wiped them all off the freaking planet. Well, what they didn't realize was this emperor and this empress were walking the impossible path. They were put on an impossible path, and they both went through it. They did not sell their soul. They did not make an agreement. They did not take advantage of some crook's opportunity. They went through it and suffered. And now they've got all this knowledge, and they're sharing it. Here, they could be in a Hierophant, high priestess energy, or they could be directly linked to the Mother, Father, God, Goddess. Take it as it resonates. But if this is Mother, Father, God, Goddess, they're certainly not going to let any clone. The only things that's the same between this being, this original mythological, high vibrational, high dimensional, special one, is the genetics, the skin. Has nothing to do with the vital force inside, because the clones don't have vital force. They were born of still and stagnant waters. Their body will rot unless they can harvest life force energy out of somebody else. And they've been disconnected from the original ones, so they can't even harvest the original one's energy to dress up in it and appear as though anymore. Those days are over. So because they're not connected to the Empress, these clones, they're not connected to the High Priestess or the Empress, that means that whatever they're doing is with their own personal signature, seen as them. They're not connected to these high vibrational women, goddesses, whatever you want to call them. They're a fraud, and that's a high priestess. They have no love in them. Nobody loves, and they're losing their freedom. There's no love for them. They have no love in them. They're losing their freedom. They're leaving home. They're in fear. They got to get out of Dodge. There's no love in them, and they're losing their freedom. They're responsible for their own evil deeds. And that doesn't mean you can have the next 3 to 5 months to continue doing it over and over and over again. That means you're losing your freedom because you were committing fraud against a high priestess, potential empress. High moral, high value, headstrong, strong-willed, knowledgeable, loves the Most High, loves the divine masculine, loves her sister friends. She's not out here trying to curse anybody, harvest off of anybody. She adds to. What the heck? Am I all upside down? Well, I suppose that's the way it was supposed to be. Happiness. So we've got the Hierophant here with the King of Cups. So could be the Most High God. Is support in here, in support of divine masculine and the love of divine masculine for family, for the future, for happiness. So they were committing fraud against this high priestess. They were trying to get away with some trickery. And they were not able to tap into the gifts of the soul that benefit them and others. So they were trying to commit fraud of a high priestess. They may have been trying to appear as though they were, but they have no gifts of the soul that benefit themselves and others. It's seen very clearly that they are frauds. There's a moving forward into the Ten of Cups. Union, total love and support. The clones, the copycats, are responsible for their own evil deeds. They've lost their freedom. They have to surrender their need to control. They're not love. There's no love in them. They're sneaky, snarky, fraudulent trickster spirits. Whoever is in that cloned, stolen genetics flesh suit, born of still and stagnant waters, they are not an actual high vibrational entity. It's probably a vampire who was given the opportunity to take baths, to enjoy water, to appear as though they were live. All they had to do was intimately or sexually tap in and tag and hook and sink. Good people. So they have to surrender. They have to surrender their need to control this. You're moving forward. There's excitement and freedom here. Limitless potential. Limitless potential. You've developed yourself, or somebody is somebody's upset. You've got your freedom. So you've got your freedom from those who are uninspired, who lack motivation, who have no passion. They've got misdirected activity. They're not diligent. They don't produce anything of benefit. They create doubt wherever they go. They don't work for anything. All they do is go out and try to sabotage others. And when they do that, they say, you're sabotaging yourself. You're sabotaging yourself. While they're in the background doing shady crap, wearing the face of. So you've got a victory here. Victory for the sun. Victory for the sun. We've got discipline in the reversed. So there's no discipline for the sun, or there's no like repercussions. It's like this is a rebirth. So you got a victory and there's a rebirth. All is well. You're not going to receive any discipline. You're seen as innocent. These fraudsters right here who were trying to portray themselves as this high priestess, it's very, very clear that they don't have the gifts of the soul that benefit themselves and others. There's no love in them, and they're losing their freedom. The lovers are here together. The strength of two together. The emperor. The emperor. So we've got gratitude. The emperor is bringing an end. So there's great gratitude for this, the strength of two together. The emperor is bringing about a death. This is an ending. Somebody's dying. Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. Lost their opportunity. Lost their opportunity for expansion. Lost their opportunity for a business, lost their opportunity for abundance. They're in a 5 of Pentacles. They're afraid of this Empress and the judgment that they are under for messing around. The Empress is balanced, brings a perfect state of harmony to her world. Definitely not a trickster fraud without gifts. So the soul that benefit herself and others. So this is a high value, very high value person. So we got dreams come true with divine love. 10 of Cups again. Somebody is disappointed they have failed because of your courage. You did not get swallowed up by fear. As much nasty, evil crap these copycats were out there doing while wearing your face, God sees you, hears you. The whole freaking limitless universes, all the multiverse hears you. So there's forgiveness for you. And it's like your reputation, you're being vindicated. It's very, very clear that all these evil deeds were not done by you. You've got a witness with you every moment of the day, watching what you think. They know your consistency. They know your patterning. And they know what's being driven into you. And they know what they're trying to lay upon you. It's very clear. So there's a change coming and you can trust it. Those who are envious are in grief because this is a friends group that has empathy. They actually care for each other and they need to accept this. They have failed. They have failed and they're being denied. That they're prideful and they're in denial. They're alone and they're sick. Look at that. Or you overcame. They're in denial that you're never alone. Even when they had you alone, you weren't alone. Look, these prideful people were bringing you adversity while you were alone or while they thought you were alone, and you just weren't. With patience, you knew that everything was going to happen in divine order, and these people are under judgment for how they attempted to affect your temple, or perhaps for what they have done to the genetics of the flesh temple that houses your soul and your spirit. So they hijacked your genetic material. They grew themselves a body and then they stuck an entity in that, most likely a succubus or an incubus or some freaking little demoness, some little vampire. All they had to do is do the song and dance, and they've done it. But you looked at the lighter side of life. You're like, you know what am I going to do? I'm going to try to be happy. And they were guilty of trying to blame you. But you persevered mentally, headstrong, very strong-willed. You're determined to live your life. You're here in service to the people. You feel good when you can help others. And these ones are worried. They're afraid because the truth is out. You are honest about everything. It's like when you can't always expect the truth from others, but you can expect it from yourself. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. The freaking north, south, east, west, upper, under, and center. And not only that, it's all these other 4. So you've got 11 different freaking directions. And you're swimming in it all the time. And you got these copycats out there. They pluck a little personality trait out of your big thing here, and then they perfect it, and they say, I can do you better than you can do you. And it's like, yeah, but you got they're flatline. They're like very linear. While you grow and expand in consciousness and awareness, and that's your purpose. You're here to help people grow in consciousness and awareness. Either there is an empress here that is directly linked to the Mother Divine, this High Priestess, Emperor as well, connected to the Most High God, or these are people that are all in this fabulous energy. They're like Emperor, Empress, High Priestess, Hierophant energy. These are sacred, mythological, not supposed to exist. These frauds and tricksters thought that they had made them extinct, and they're finding out otherwise, and their stuff isn't working. So now they're in regret here over these relationships that serve the higher good. They know that there's no greater goal than to love, and love brings them success. That's just the way it is. And even in times of indecision, maybe you don't even know what's going on, you know, as you were being lifted up out of the ashes. You're like, I don't know what's happening here, God, but I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna flow. I'm gonna do this. So you use your intuition in all aspects of life. And if you were like me, you could have had a lot of stuff going on in the mental body, this mental magic and all that really good stuff. They were very good at it. So there was not really a whole lot of opportunity for meditating and connecting, because there was all this interference. You kind of had to wiggle up through, and then you had to learn to discern what was interference and what was true. And it's like, it takes time. It takes time to work your way through massive interference. And in my instance, they were harvesting my energy for 18 years. They had a direct freaking straw in me that they would suck off of. All these people would come and harvest. So they had access to all this abundant energy for 18 years. But I was being watched the whole time. And so was everybody else who was dressing up in it. Watched. Monitored. By alliances. So somebody's afraid. They're leaving home. There's no love in them. They've lost their freedom. They've lost their freedom because of the work that they've been doing. They're responsible for their own evil deeds. They were trying to lay the responsibility, the karmic debt of their own evil deeds onto this high priestess through fraud. They're in trouble, man. They're in trouble, and they're afraid. The Most High God, or this Hierophant, is here with this King of Cups, and they're restoring happiness to this environment. We got commitment in the reverse. So they're breaking these false bonds. They're breaking these ties, these bindings. They're looking. The Most High and the love of Divine Masculine are here in the challenge position. They're together, and they're investigating this happiness. And if you're consistently working, doing the inner work, trying to bring happiness to your world, there's like the binding is being removed. The yoke. The yoke that these ones were trying to put upon you, the obstructions are being removed from the happy people. And it's not always easy to be happy, but you know, some of them, like even in like some of the most horrible situations, like jigsaw puzzles are really great, diamond puzzles. Some people like to cook. They take great pleasure and pride in preparing meals, even if it's just for themselves. And that brings them happiness. So it's the little things that bring you happiness. And it's the inner work, that things that we actually have to do to generate the state that brings happiness. So it's seen very clearly. The Most High God is here. The love of Divine Masculine here, looking for this happiness. And the happiness ones are being these contracts. They're whatever contracts they were bound with are being removed. The yoke. From these frauds, from this deception. They were committing fraud and acting very strategically against this high priestess. They were not able to tap in or take or mimic gifts of the soul that benefit themselves and others. It could be if they had any gifts of the soul that benefited themselves and others, they're over, because they're in natural disaster now. They're frustrated. They have no gifts. They're not able to get the gifts. They didn't have the gifts. It was all fraud. just because they looked the same, they were not the same. The inside, man. Sometimes I feel like a hippie. When I was young, living in the wilderness, there was a summer when everybody came on their property across the way. It was very, very rural, 12 miles from the nearest town. A whole bunch of hippies moved in. It was amazing. They all lived in teepees, and they had straw floors, and there were trails everywhere, and there were the teepees, and they had a communal kitchen where my Great Dane ate their freshly baked cinnamon rolls one morning. They were really upset by that. But I was always, you know, my whole life, I'm like, I'm a wannabe hippie, you know, live free and stuff. Anyway, it was only one summer, and it was really interesting. So anyway, you've got the Three of Wands here. You're moving forward into a Ten of Cups, total divine love, absolute support. These ones need to release their need to control it because it's worth saving. It's worth saving, and you've got that money. You're preserving it. You're preserving divine love. You're excited. You're free. You're moving on. You got limitless potential. And somebody's having doubt. They're not feeling very, very motivated right now. They are not happy because you got your freedom. They're like, what the heck? Look, you're high value. It could also be that you have developed yourself, your inner self. You added value to your soul by overcoming all these challenges, by learning what you could, and then implementing practices that would help you manage your electricity, your emotional balance, your all the stuff. You're a high value person. It could be that when you had doubt, you released the need to know all the answers, knowing that even if the mind was being affected, the soul knows, always knows. So you got a victory here. You're in the Chariot. There's a rebirth with the Sun here. We've got discipline in the reverse. It could be that you're not going to be disciplined. There's no need for you to apologize. They were committing fraud against this High Priestess. They were committing fraud against this Empress. Good news. So the lovers are together, the strength of two together in union. Grateful, thankful. The Emperor is here bringing about a death to this circumstance. It's over. The copycats are responsible for their own evil deeds. That came straight out of the curator's mouth, probably in the wee hours of the morning sometime. And it looks like they're leaving. There's no love in them. They're losing their freedom for the work that they've been doing, the evil deeds that they've been doing, and there's death. And we've got good news. It's a miracle. They're surprised. They lost their opportunity for an Ace of Pentacles. They made a bad investment, and this is an expansion, a Three of Wands here. An enterprise, an overseas opportunity for abundance. And we've got sweet dreams. Somebody's not having sweet dreams. Why? Because this is a bad investment that was done worldwide. There's an enterprise. Like this is a worldwide network overseas. Abundant. They've been doing things with the abundant, limitless beings. They're having a nightmare. They're having a nightmare. You're planning. You're making preparations. There's preparations being made for limitless, abundant beings. Somebody lost their opportunity. There's preparations being made for limitless, abundant beings over the world. We've got the moving forward with, again, the Three of Wands regarding a Ten of Cups. Yep. They're having a nightmare about it. They're having a nightmare. They're in a Five of Pentacles. They're losing everything. They've been defeated because the Empress is bringing a state of perfect harmony to her world. Regardless of what they did, all these copycats out there wearing the same face but doing evil things, trying to stick it onto this empress, but the empress is in a state of perfect harmony and it can't stick. She's not doing these things. God's looking at her right there. The high priestess could be mother, father, and this king of cups and the emperor. They all see that theirs was fraud and trickery against a high priestess empress. It's not sticking to her because she is the state of perfect balance. They're afraid. She's perfect balance. She's like, dude, stop. Just stop. Triumph. She has triumph because she brings a state of perfect harmony into her world. Her inner world and her outer world. So we've got the 10 of Cups, perfect divine love. Somebody is feeling very bad. They're having great grief over your courage, over your strength. They called you, what did they call you? Let me see. Strong-willed. No, they called you headstrong. Headstrong. Some of you have been majorly messed with in the head for a long time. This empress is headstrong. So it's not just strong will, which is absolutely part of it, but it's headstrong. She's got a wonderful mental body. Perfectly balanced, non-judgmental. She's focused on other stuff. She knows that the judgmental stuff comes from the Hierophant, the Emperor, and the Divine Masculine. She's just here nurturing herself and nurturing her community and just focused. And these Divine Masculines are doing a fabulous job, by the way, with their research and their all that stuff. So somebody is in a great disappointment and a great regret because of your inner strength, your courage regarding this strategy. They're cursing you. They cursed your mind reading. So their strategy was to curse you, and now they're in regret because you're too courageous, you're too darn balanced, you're too sweet, you're an abundant, magnificent being, high priestess, empress. They cursed you. And they copycatted you with multiple clones who were doing evil deeds, trying to stick it to you. But they couldn't. So you get eternal love. And there's a vow here. There's a vow that they will go blind and die, be cast away. They won't be able to spy on your mind. They won't be able to see you anywhere. They can't reach you. They won't ever know what's going on with you. That's death twice. There's a vow to end this. They're going blind, and they're being cast away. They're sick. They're going to go experience sickness, poverty, dark times. Because you are stable and okay, and you did it by yourself. I mean, the most that the divine said to me was patience, patience, patience. For me, it was 22 years alone, and I'm like, I have no idea when this is going to end or if it ever will. And then what do? You just decide to be grateful for all of the things that you're discovering about yourself. Like, how would you know that you were even that strong, you know? Those who were trying to dominate family or your family, they fell into a trap. They are at risk. They're in danger. They're in danger. They were collaborating together. To bring conflict to people who cared about kids. But you stayed calm. Read a book, did a puzzle, meditated. And now these ones, these arrogant ones, they're all messed up in the head. They're losing their freedom. They're overloaded. They are responsible for every evil thing they ever did. It's all coming back on them. They were bribed. They thought it was a great idea. They thought it was a great idea. But you got eternal love coming up. They tried to curse eternal love. They wanted eternal love cursed. That's exactly what they wanted to do. Their strategy was to curse eternal love. But because of your inner strength, your strong mind, your perfect harmony, and your ability to bring that into the world, you've got a victory here. This Empress High Priestess is truly a sacred being. So there's a victory and a rebirth. All is well. You're not getting any discipline. There's no reason for you to apologize. You're getting a rebirth. You know, and I keep asking if I'm going to get a young body. I'm like, I'm just going to wake up one day and I'm going to be 25 or something. And I'm, woo! And all my soft tissue will be restored, and that cortisol poisoning from menopause will not have occurred, and all this wonderful thing. I think about this stuff all the time. It's going to happen. It will. So if somebody's in fear, they're having anxiety, they're leaving home, they're making travel plans, they got to get on out. They got to get on out. There's no love in them, and they're losing their freedom because of the profession, because of the work that they did. The curator stated sometime in the morning that the copycats, clones, are responsible for their own evil deeds. They're losing their freedom. And we got joy. That's a happy thing. The community is happy about it. The Hierophant is here with the King of Cups. They're looking at happiness. They're aware that being happy means you're on the right path. And people who are happy are on the right path. And they're released from this yoke, this burden, this obstruction, this binding, whatever it was that these ones were doing. They were trying to bind. And it could very well be that the original is a happy person, and that all the copycats on the inside are seething, doing evil, trying to destroy the original. You know, I mean, it should be very apparent who's who. We got consolation in the reverse. So yeah, the yoke is being removed. The yoke is being removed. We got consolation in the reverse. So you're not begging God for nothing. You're happy. There's no reason for you to pray. Or maybe your prayers have been answered. Or maybe their prayers aren't being heard. They're no longer being heard. They're no longer being heard. You're being separated. You're free. Like whatever obstruction or binding that these copycats had to the original, it's like it's being severed. They're responsible for their own evil deeds. They no longer have connection to the original. Their prayers aren't being heard. They're a soldier. They're a fraud, a trickster who is lying and stealing and trying to get away with something tricky regarding this high priestess. They're at risk. They don't have gifts of the soul that benefit themselves and others. They were committing fraud. Wife. They did not get the gifts of the soul that belongs to this high priestess. They are at risk. She survived. She's the wife. They tried to curse the eternal love of a high priestess empress, Emperor Hierophant. They tried to destroy these divine masculines' opportunity to have a loving union with a loving person. They tried to curse eternal love. And they were using the energy and the gifts of these high priestess empresses. Divine wife. This is the mother. And let me just say, before anybody starts having a bickering match about who's the queen, who's the mother, who's the father, there are limitless universes out there. These ones who were committing fraud were called by the divine a failed experiment. So I'm guessing that this is one of those spaces within limitless universes where an experiment was ran. And I think a lot of the light, the suns and the stars, and the high priestesses, the hierophants, the emperors, the empresses, like they all came to like do what they're doing, I guess. All right, so, yeah, they're losing their freedom. They were committing fraud against this high priestess. They did not have the gifts of the soul that benefited them and others. They're frustrated. They're frustrated. They're at risk. They were bringing risk to this wife. We got a priest here who has to surrender their need to control the Ten of Cups union and their money. It has been discovered that we have some pretty obnoxious happiness haters that have been kind of in charge here, and it's not good. They were really messing stuff up with this identity theft, with genetics thievery, intellectual property thievery. So there's limitless potential all over the place. You've really built some additional skills, which is the wonderful thing about not being perfect. There is always opportunity for improvement. There is always a spiraling up, unless one chooses to stagnate and just grow algae or become a mosquito infested pile of water or whatever. So you have developed some skills. You released the need to know all the answers. You went with the flow. You're a high value person. You're a high value person. You treated yourself kindly. You recognized your own value. Even when you didn't know all the answers, you treated your inner divine with respect. Somebody's in despair about it. Somebody's in despair. They could be in despair because you're going to have a life of extravagance. This is yours. You're the high moral, abundant divine mother. This is the very strong, and I can't even say, because their reputation in my world was extremely disrupted. So I really can't say, but I can certainly see that the Most High God is here with this emperor, who could be the sun, if you're religious or whatever that is to you. This could be Yeshua with God, here supported by the divine masculine, who are love. Victory here. A rebirth. The sun is all is well. There's no need for you to get disciplined. There's no need for you to apologize. You're a happy person, and that's what they're looking for here. Are you consistently happy? What is your history every day? Do you wake up and do this, or do you go out and do some kind of evil deed and then put on a smile and try to trick the world? You know, I mean, you're consistently happy. You got your wings. The strength of two together is here. The lovers are here in gratitude, thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. That's the other thing about these curators and all of them. They were always offering opportunity. And it's so strange to me because they could not see that getting to know me was all the opportunity that I needed, because that's what God gave me. So I started paying attention. Strength of two together. The lovers are here. Grateful for life. Grateful for the opportunities. The Emperor is bringing an end to this. There is death. There is death. It's over. He's clearing this foundation. There's going to be a whole new way of being. The relationships are changing. Something is, there's a legality. It's like there's a legality. There's structure. There's disciplined structure with a set value system for the family. He's not messing around. You know, what happened in this previous chapter was absolutely ridiculous. It cannot happen again. We can all hope anyway. So this is an end. He's bringing an end to this, and that's good news. There's a miracle. People are sick over it. Whoever their own evil deeds, are responsible for their own evil deeds. They're sick. There's death. So there's death here. People might be surprised. People are going to get sick. There's going to be a lot of sickness. They've lost their opportunity. They've missed their chance with the Ace of Pentacles and the reverse. There's preparations being made. This is an enterprise, an expansion. It could be that this is happening all the way around the world. This abundance, limitless beings that can create and manifest whatever they desire in the 3D space. So it's like there's two different spaces. There's the land of dreams, right? Where in the spirit, where everything happens before it actually occurs here. It's like there's been a lot of stuff going on, as most of you know. Somebody's not having any sweet dreams over this. They're losing sleep. These pleasure seekers. Okay, they got the pleasure seeker soldiers. They got the letter. They're having a nightmare. They're in a nightmare. They got the letter. They missed their opportunity for your abundance. And this is worldwide. It's like people are knowing, like whatever this is, there's something, and you're not going to hear this in the news most likely. This is all behind the scenes. This soldier is having a nightmare. They got the letter. The pleasure seekers got the letter. They're in a 5 of Pentacles here. They've been defeated. They've lost everything. This Empress is here, and she's abundant. She brings a state of perfect harmony into her world. Without judgment, she knows that that belongs to God and to the Emperor and to the Divine Masculine, because they're the foundation keepers, which make it a safe place for the mothers and the children and the animals and all of that good stuff. So there's a victory here, a triumph. This is in general. I know that there's a greater story to that. Anyhow, the Empress is here. She's very balanced, brings up a state of perfect harmony to her world. There is a triumph here, a victory, and we've got young woman. She could be a young woman. Maybe she's going to be a young woman. Maybe she gets to be renewed. We're just going to have to wait and see. We've got the 10 of Cups here. True, blissful relationships. Somebody's in regret over using that strategy, trying to curse eternal love because they didn't realize how headstrong you were. They did not realize about your inner fortitude. Yeah, this is the room. It's the mind. Your courage of the mind. You're headstrong. They could not destroy your mind. And they're sick about it. They're sick about it because the money is yours. The money is yours. Money and a fortune. Money, fortune, faithfulness. You're getting the money. You have a fortune in faith. Somebody's getting the message. There's a service. Prison, messenger. We've got a lot of conversation going on. There's a lot of happiness, a lot of congratulations regarding the house for the lover, for those who love love. They love love. And somebody's having a misfortune and perhaps making a journey, transitioning into the spiritual realm. For trying to make a widower out of this reunion, they're in big trouble. There was consistency with this sweetheart. So no matter how many clones or doppelgangers are out there, copycats, it's the consistency. You know, the copycats are out there doing evil deeds, and this sweetheart just doesn't do that, and it's very obvious, right? So we got friend and waiting. There's a scholar who's sick. They're in melancholy. They're real sad. This prideful servant thief. Scholar. All up in their thoughts. All up in their thoughts about love. About love. The enemy is surprised. You are the gift. You are innocent. The child gets the gifts. A while back, there was talk about them they were like draining the golden egg. From that, I got, they were harvesting the energy out of the golden egg, you know, like the upper dimensional realms, they seed into a golden egg, and then that is where it goes before it comes down here into the womb, right? We've got family everywhere, but they were taking the energy out of those golden eggs, and so when some people were born, they were born without you know, full capacity. Things happened. There's an old woman and a merchant. A foe of weddings. Sighing. Sighing. They're hoping, they're sighing, they're hoping that the Lord will be kind of blinded. They're hoping that the Lord won't see something, but we've got death here again. Death, it's over. They got caught. We're over an hour long. I'm just going to probably leave that one here. I got a little carried away with that. I hope that this brings clarity to something that you already intuitively knew. And I will see you on the next one, everybody. Bye.